$10 million parade homes, my average sales price in 2011 was $139,900, guys. What has happened to St. George real estate?
And I mean, like,
this is the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. Guys, it's February. It's parade time. Jesse, $10 million parade homes. I actually think one's 12.
you know, and what's crazy is most of them are actually over $1 million.
Oh, most of them?
Well, not all of them. You're going to have a couple of them that aren't, but the majority are well over $1 million.
I want to know what those are. There may be a couple that are not. They're a handful. They're a handful.
Yeah. There's maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
That are under.
So guys, we are in parade season. Some people call it the Super Bowl of real estate. Maybe. I don't know if that's really the case. Guys, we're going to talk about 2 things today. The shift from Washington County home values honestly, in 2011, I was selling mainly foreclosures for Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. Uh-huh. My personal average sales price that year, now, to be fair, I was working on a lot of foreclosed properties, right? Was $139,900.
Wow.
The average sales price on the market that year was about $200,000.
Yeah.
Today, it's about $550 to $575. Mm-hmm. So you have to realize, guys, home values have nearly tripled since 2011. We've got $10 to $12 million parade homes. Guys, there's a 19,000 square foot parade home.
Jeez. What a huge house. Wow. 19,000 square feet.
Well, to be fair, it's 18,000 and change. It's just under 19,000. It's Rob Wyman. And the question
he built a killer home.
Is this, of course he does. Is this it? Have we become a resort market? And is the parade of homes driving the market, or is the time of year driving the parade of homes? We're going to talk about it. Jesse, this is an interesting dynamic that we've got going on here.
Yeah.
How long have you been in St. George?
On and off for 35 years, but in real estate in St. George, 13.
Yeah.
13 years.
Yeah. Very long time. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been around my entire life, 50 years. You know, we're sitting in the old Cameo Flores building, now known as Legacy Corner or Larkin Group headquarters. I was here this morning about 6:30 to do a couple things and took some photos of the outside just before the light started to hit. And I thought of the history. In 1971, they opened this building, and it was an event venue, and people would come in and get married or have receptions here.
Oh, no kidding.
You have no idea how many people I've talked to who said my wedding reception was in this building.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I was not born in 71. It was, I was born in 75. And when you look at the trajectory of real estate in St. George, Utah, there was this phrase, the buzzword was, now they call it the brighter side, City of St. George, their slogan, their motto, I guess. The brighter side. But before it was St. George, where the summer sun spends the winter.
Yep.
So we were always a resort town, but we didn't have resort prices.
Yeah. Well, the whole world wasn't coming here at that time. You had people coming from northern Utah or Idaho or Wyoming that would just come down to capture some sun during the winter. Now, you literally have the whole world that knows about St. George, whether it's because of Zion, whether it's because of the Ironman, whatever it's because of, they're coming.
Yeah, I mean, the world's changed. So guys, a little bit as we talk about St. George home values, if you're a homeowner and you've owned a home for at least 5 years, you've done really well. Now, if you bought in 21 and 22, I'm going to give you the tough information you need to have, which is values did fall from that time.
They did.
And I'm going to say it's probably about 10%.
Mm-hmm. That's about right.
But they've stabilized, right? And much to the chagrin of buyers, they've stabilized.
So much
right?
so that they've literally been stable for 2 years straight now. Mm-hmm. So that drop that people keep expecting doesn't seem to be coming. Because you can't have 2 years in a row where it stabilizes and call it the market crashing. You just can't.
No, the market hasn't crashed. And let's talk about this for a minute. Jesse pulled some data today. By the way, guys, I'm Jeremy Larkin, host of the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. Jesse Paul here. Just a couple of days left in the St. George Parade of Homes. I will, before we get out of here, tell you what kind of my favorite home is. And interestingly, it's one of the smallest homes. But let's talk about this, Jesse. I had you pull some data, and the data you pulled was what?
All the listings in Washington County that sold in the last 12 months, over $1 million.
So home sales over 12 months, over $1 million in the last year.
Yep.
Okay. Home sales over $1 million in the last year. And this is in Washington County.
Yeah, in Washington County, 464.
Okay.
Now, I want to put that into perspective for just a second. Mm-hmm. Total home sales in Washington County were...
So 464 homes sell over $1 million. Now,
so total home sales last year were, in the last 12 months anyway, was 4,277.
So 10%.
I wanted to put that into perspective.
10% of the home sales in Washington County were over $1 million. Okay. Now I want you to drill down a little further. Okay. I want you to edit your search, and I want you to put a floor on the sold price of $2 million. So how many sales in the last year over $2 million?
90.
Okay. So this is not surprising. So 464 sell over $1 million. 90 sell over $2 million. Jesse, how many sold over $3 million? And this is kind of fun. All right. 39. Okay. So let's just play a little math. If you're a real estate nerd, okay, 10% of the homes that sold in the last year were over $1 million. Guys, over $1 million was rarefied air 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. 90, okay, of those sales
were over 2.
20% of those were over 2 million. Okay. And how many were over 3?
39 are over 3 million.
Now this is interesting. Guys, 9% were over 3 million. So here's what's happened. We shattered $1 million. We've now proven.
So when I go to 4, 13.
So we've shattered $1 million. We've shattered 2 million. We've shattered 3 million, 4 million. Jesse, how many over $5 million? This is kind of fun.
9.
Okay, 9 homes. Okay.
So here's
and by the way, open them up. What are the sales prices of those 9? List them off for us.
You've got 9.1, 7.5 million, 7.4 million, 7.3 million, 7.3 million, 5.8, 5.6, 5.3 million, and 5.1 million.
Now, let me say something before you go any further. And then, okay, I have in my hands the Homes and Land, Park City, and the Wasatch Mountains. This is just a magazine that Windermere or Sotheby's and these kind of people put up. Okay. We're becoming Park City. We're no different than... Okay. You just listed the 9 most expensive sales, and they started at 9 and they went down to what?
5.1.
Okay. I randomly opened this magazine with no prep. You guys ready? Offered at 22 million. Offered at 22 million. Let's see. Hang on. I'm just cruising along in here. 4.9 million, 6.1 million. Okay. These are just some random homes. Does everyone understand what I'm saying here? Okay. My gosh, guys, offered at $33 million.
Okay, right now, the most expensive home we have is actually 12.2.
So
for sale.
So here's what we're doing. I'm creating some brackets. Okay, we opened the show. Jeremy Larkin here, host of the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. Jesse Paul's here. Larkin Group, KW Realty. First of all, let me state some things. We've become a resort market, and we can never bring it back. You can't bring it back. And 20 years ago, 05, 06, when, you had home prices around $400,000 or $500,000 average. Today, average is like 550, 575. That's average. In 2011, after the complete mortgage meltdown, the bottom fell out of everything. Everything was either short sold, short sale, or foreclosed. Everything is a loose term I'm using, right? My average sales price as a guy representing banks in foreclosures was 140. The average sales price in the market was $200,000. So a couple things. The average price of a home, it's nearly tripled since 2011. That's number one.
Yep.
Number two, we shattered the $1 million barrier. We shattered the $2 million barrier. We had 9 homes sell over $5 million. And yet we're in this weird liminal space, because liminal space is the in-between time when you're not one thing, but you're not what you were, and you're not probably what you're becoming. And the question becomes, so we shared. I just pulled up in one magazine, Park City. You've got properties selling at 22, 25, 33. You have some properties in Deer Valley, Park City selling for $50 million.
And we just don't have that here. Like I said, the most expensive home we had last year was 9.7?
Yep. And I think you'll have something over 10.
And the most expensive home that we have for sale this year is 12.
Yep. Yeah. The question is, it's parade of homes time. Where's this thing going? Right? Because the crazy part, guys, about these properties is this. It is much more difficult for the buyer who has to go and stretch and finance a $500,000 home to purchase than it is for the buyer who buys a $9 million home.
Yeah.
Now, what you don't know is, to be fair, from a defense of capitalism, what we don't know is what that person went through to build their multi-million-dollar corporation, gajillion-dollar corporation, and all of the people that... We got a dog trying to get on the couch. Hey, we're the only radio show in town with a dog trying to get on the couch.
She can jump up if she wants to.
Come up, miss. Get up here. So, you don't know that guy that bought a $9 million home may have built a corporation over 20 years that employs thousands of people.
Yeah.
But the point is this. At the moment of purchase, the $9 million purchaser is going to bring what to pay for that home?
Money.
In what form?
A loan or cash or
Jesse.
Most of those are cash.
Are they getting a loan for a $9 million home?
Most of those are cash.
Cash purchases.
I corrected myself.
You missed the lead there. Cash buyers.
I'm not a very good follower.
It's not always. Cash buyers. Jesse, what's it like for a young couple who wants to purchase a $450,000 D.R. Horton starter basic townhome? What's it like for them to finance that?
And it's a struggle. Let me just give you an example. So last night we got an offer. It was probably $10,000 below what we were asking, and then they needed another $6,000 for closing costs, and literally that's all the money they had. And I was talking to the seller, and we were talking about maybe seeing if we could, because we had multiple offers. And we were talking about, man, we really want her to have this house. Do you think
multiple people competing for a home in this market?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And we said, man, we think we could get her to pay another $5,000. And before we could even get an answer, they said, you know what? What is that $5,000 to us versus what it is to her? She's scraping to get just the down payment, so much so that she's asking us to cover the closing costs. And it's not because she was just trying to get what she could get. She was tapped. I think that's the most common experience in that lower end.
Well, and here, I love what you said.
They're scraping just to be able to pay that payment at 6% interest.
You literally took the words from my mouth, that part. These people are going, what happens if we have a problem in our finances or a big medical bill?
Yeah.
You guys, you have this dichotomy. You have these two realities. I opened up another one of these magazines here. The home on the cover of this one offered at $24,800,000. This is in Park City, a place called Two Creeks. It's like clearly gated. You have these people coming to St. George, going to Park City and spending $24 million cash. .com people who built this massive business and they sold it and they have all this cash and they don't even. Do you know why these ultra wealthy people put so much cash into real estate? It's a tax haven.
Big time.
They, especially in this market where the stock market could go sideways, they know that real estate holds value. Right.
That's why when you look at the difference, totally off track but when you look at the difference in the wealth between somebody that owns a home and that does not, is why some of these ultra wealthy have so much of their money in real estate, because there's no other vehicle that is more stable or can create more, not only tax benefits, but wealth.
Yeah, well, correct. And here's what they look at. And I'm not a big time economics major. But if the U.S. economy were to implode, stock market failed, what people would be left with are hard assets: gold, homes, right? Meaning precious metals, homes, real estate. If they print a whole bunch of money to save the U.S. economy again, and it's going to create inflation, what do you want? Stuff that's a hard asset. And so here's the dichotomy. These two comparisons, contrast. You got these people paying here in St. George now apparently $10 million for a home, $12 million for a home. People in Park City spending, they go way more than twice that. Again, $40, $50 million. Coming in, they going, I've got to put my money somewhere. And then you have folks who are going, I don't know if we can afford a $2,152 payment versus a $1,980 payment, $170 difference. I actually don't know. Well, first of all, A, I don't even know if my income will qualify it. And B, if I have the payment, could I make the extra $170? And so we are at this weird place in St. George history where we can't go back. We're kind of afraid at some level of what's forward. People love living here. I love living here. I mean, I'm the poster boy for what it's like to just live here in Southern Utah and enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, I work hard, I play hard. I rolled out of bed yesterday, and my buddy showed up at my house, and we walked 3 minutes to the Brooks Pond, top of Main Street, and hiked for an hour on the Owens Loop. And at the end of the day yesterday, because it was really warm and I knew the weather was shifting, I snuck out at 4:30 and got a bike ride in. And I worked in the middle. I mean, I love this town. You know, I swung to my office this morning to print something because it was 5 minutes at 6:30 in the morning. 5 minutes to my office. Do you know what people have to do to commute?
Oh, yeah.
I love this town. And yet I don't know. And I love these big, I love high-end real estate because it's fun. But I don't know, Jesse, and we're not even going to prognosticate. I guess we can. I don't know what happens next for this town and for our housing economy and who can afford to live here. I don't know.
And here's the reality of it. No matter how bad we want to control it, we can't. Mm-hmm. You cannot control an economy. You cannot control a market.
Nope.
And every time somebody does, it backfires. It might work temporarily, but there's always a cost. And that's what I mean by backfire. There's always a cost into artificially interfering in a cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and let me tell you part of how we got here, guys, if you want to get into economic theory. In 2007, there's a thing called mortgage-backed securities that we can't even get into the details on this show because it's just, it's too nuanced.
It's deep.
But what the U.S. government did is they did things to buy rates down. And we actually watched this happen twice. Rates got really low and they bailed out banks and they printed money, and we basically robbed Peter to pay Paul. I mean, we robbed everything because, you know, the U.S. deficit is just going up by trillions every year. And we tried to save the economy. We saved companies like GM and Ford, and we bailed out banks. We artificially propped the economy up. And what happened was the economy came back. And then 15 years later, in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Yep. There were 60 days where everybody said, well, I mean, it's just the end of, I don't know. We don't even know what we thought.
Yeah, it was weird.
60 days later, the government said, okay. Because naturally, it takes a minute to formulate a plan. So they once again artificially suppressed interest rates. You got rates down to 2.5, 2.3% on 15-year mortgages, but 2.7, 2.8 for 30-year mortgages. They artificially propped the economy up again. And what happened to housing prices? They blew up. Well, now, here are the unintended consequences. This kind of is in this $1 million homes, parade homes, St. George. Here are the unintended consequences. It's what they're called second order second order effects or consequences. Keith Cunningham talks about it. Okay. It's like you do a thing, but you don't realize what is going to happen from the thing.
Yeah.
People rush in and they start buying homes. Well, because there's an emotional panic to get out of places like California, they'd come to St. George and they'd say, "Oh, you're asking $700, we'll pay $750." Somebody else said, "We'll pay $775," and somebody else said, "I'll pay you $805 and I'll give you my Maserati." Okay, they probably didn't give cars, but so prices start escalating. Well, people were financing at 2.5% to 3%. Dudes, anyone within the sound of my voice, 2.5% mortgage versus 6%. This is a night and day, first of all, qualification standard, and the payment is night and day. Prices go up stratospherically, and then guess what the U.S. government figures out? Oh, shoot, we created all this inflation.
Yep.
So then they had to raise interest rates to slow the car down because it was careening too fast down the freeway. So now look what happens. Now what's happened? Prices went up really high, and what happened was this. Now you have people in mortgages at 2.5% who don't want to sell their home.
That's right.
So there's a lack of supply in the market, and because there's a lack of supply in the market, prices won't come back down. So what you have is a game of chicken. They used to call this a Mexican standoff. It's hilarious because you actually can't say those things anymore, apparently. But the whole point was it's a game of chicken. Like, hey, nobody wants to sell their home out of their 2.5% to 3% mortgage, so they're staying in their home.
Well, not only that, but they don't want to. They still want the 2021 prices, and the market's actually dropped about 10%.
So
not only has it dropped 10%, but it's very price sensitive.
Yeah.
So you can't just pick a price anymore and get it. Where back then, almost you could.
And prices, guys, quite frankly, won't fall unless there's a major economic event, because there's just a little bit of a lack of supply.
Yeah.
Here's why. If right now something happened where everybody lost their 2.5% mortgage and their mortgage went to 6%, you'd see a melee, a big sell-off.
Would.
Inventory would double in the market, and then prices would come down.
Yep.
So so second order effects, these are the things we didn't see happening. And here's the thing. The U.S. government, quite honestly, this is going to sound really funny in our final 2.5 minutes. I don't really blame them, because I'm going to tell you this. If you're in a panic situation with your family and you're trying to defend our lives, are you going to do anything necessary to defend your family?
Yeah.
So
you're not going to have time to go, okay, what's the long-term effects? It's easy to be, the second string quarterback and say he should have.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder when you're right under the gun.
So, and look, they probably tried to, and we expect, one of the great challenges we have in our country is we expect that the government will just figure, the Federal Reserve will figure it out. Hey, these are people probably doing their best. And we obviously have seen there is a bunch of glad handing and illicit behavior going on behind the scenes with a lot of those people too, but that's a whole separate conversation. So here's the point as we wrap up. We had a bunch of actions that were taken, and we didn't realize nationally what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And now you have a housing market that's really high. Prices are high. Rates are high-ish. Yeah. They're high based on the prices. And
yeah, because if you didn't have the high prices, we're actually at an average mortgage rate.
Yeah, look, if the typical home value was $300,000, not $550, 6% would be no big deal.
Yeah.
But it's not. Okay. So look, as we wrap up, Jeremy Larkin here, Jesse Paul with the Larkin Group in our final minute. My question for you is this, if you're listening to our show. Comment on YouTube. Send us a message. What do you think happens next with St. George Housing, with the real estate market? Do we become more and more of a park city, a Vail, Colorado? I mean, we don't have a ski resort here, to be fair. Those are extraneous circumstances that do cause. But do we become crazier and crazier? Does it level off? Does this economy crash? We want your opinion. Chime in. Visit us at YouTube. You'll probably be watching this on YouTube by now. But our show is usually live within 48 hours. Visit us at gostgeorge.com or just Google.
Google the Larkin Group.
Guys. Over and out.
Thanks
Have a great
us.
week.